Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Ricky Taylor, the driver, one of the drivers of the number 10 Konica Minolta Acura for Wayne Taylor Racing in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship in the DPI class. How's it going?
Very good. Thanks, Casey. Thanks for having me on again.
So I know you've had about a good month to sink everything in that happened at Rolex. But overall, how ready are you for the 12 Hours of Sebring?
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's been a couple of weeks now since the 24-hour, and as great as a second place sounds, and it is as we look back on it, at the time it was hard to take when you come that close in the Rolex 24 to come so close to winning it. But yeah, we'll bring that same momentum to the Sebring 12 Hours, and I think we had a great car last year. Unfortunately, we had some contact that knocked one of our turbos loose, and we never really recovered from that. But we showed a lot of pace throughout the race, so we're all encouraged for this year. We had a good 2-day test last month, and yeah, really ready to go.
Yeah, going from winning all those times of the 24 hours and going to this race where you've won before as well. What's that going to be like going from a 24-hour race to a 12-hour race? I know you've done this so many times. But what's this 12-hour going to be like?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be great just to go back to Sebring, where it's going to be, fully back to normal, sort of after the COVID thing of the past few years with WEC returning. So it's going to be a big weekend. And I think the biggest difference for us specifically this year, I think it's going to be quite unique, is that both of my teammates, Will Stevens and Philippe Albuquerque, are going to be doing double duties. So they're going to be really busy back and forth between the two series. And then, I think for them physically, they're going to have to be on top of their game. Philippe, I know, has been training harder than ever. In Sebring, we always say 12 hours at Sebring is possibly harder than 24 hours at Daytona. So we're all prepared, and the Konica Minolta guys are going to be pulling their end of the deal, giving us the best car we can possibly have. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of work, but I can't wait to get there.
Now, usually you would have the most of the IndyCar field would be there helping you guys out, but obviously they're not going to be there this year because they got a race scheduled in Texas coming up that weekend. I know that. What's that going to be like? Because usually they would be there as well with you guys. I know with that. So how's that going to be not having them there? Because I know one of them would usually be there with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a bit strange. Dixon, Castroneves, Alex Rossi, a lot of these guys do it every year, and it's always really nice to have them. Hunter Ray normally does it. But yeah, coming back this year, it's going to be a whole fresh of, pretty much strictly sports car drivers, which is great. We don't quite get that star power. For us in the 10 car, we've almost always had an IndyCar driver in the car with us. But yeah, we'll adapt just like we always do. I think for us, we were moving on anyways, kind of building towards a fully sports car team with LMDH coming and everything to get Will on board as much as we could, and let Alex focus on his IndyCar program. Obviously, Alex is welcome anytime. But having Will carry on from Daytona, it's going to be good to have some continuity there.
So you mentioned that obviously everyone knows what's coming, the LMDH, the GTP class. I know your schedule is going to be more insane next year because now you're going from just racing in the US, and also Canada, to traveling all around the world. What's that going to be like? Has that been established with you guys yet of what you're going to do?
Yeah, so HPD is fully committed. HPD and Acura are fully committed to the LMDH project. The car is well along its way, and we should be getting it here in the next few months to start our testing program. This year is an incredibly busy year for testing. From when we get the car mid-year till the end of the season, we're just going to be flat out almost every single week testing and getting it ready before the homologation time comes. But as far as racing, we're committed to racing in the States. Obviously, the ultimate goal is to go to Le Mans, but we're really committed to the IMSA WeatherTech Championship and seeing. We have to first check that box off and make sure we've got a solid car that races well.
I haven't had a chance to ask you about this yet, but I know that you got more of a normal type schedule this year. You're going to be going to Canada for the first time in 2 years. And then also for this, the two street courses, Long Beach will be in its normal date in April. And then of course, Detroit with Belle Isle. Last time we're going to race on this before we go downtown. You and I were talking about this earlier before we hit record. But how exciting is it to race in Detroit for one last time on the island, a place where you've had a lot of success at?
Yeah, I think we're all big fans of history, and we're all race fans at the end of the day. And going back to Belle Isle is really exciting. Obviously, we love that racetrack and the history that is on the island at Belle Isle. But the history of the Detroit Grand Prix goes back to racing on the streets on the mainland, if you will. And back in the F1 days, racing under the Ren Center in F1 and everything. And I'm excited to try something new. I think we have a great schedule in the IMSA series where we get to go to some fantastic racetracks, but we really don't go to new places. And I think we build up a lot of equity in what we have. But to be able to keep the same events, but also try and freshen it up with a new layout, I think it's going to be awesome. And the track layout so far, I think just being in the actual city of Detroit should be a lot of fun.
That should be. Going into this weekend at Sebring, what are some of the toughest parts about Sebring that people don't know about?
I think everybody knows the bumps. We always talk about the bumps. We always talk about how many cars are on track. But what a lot of people don't always talk about is in Daytona, you start in the daytime and you finish in the daytime. So the conditions are pretty similar, start to finish. You go through the night, but in Sebring, you want something very different in the daytime from the nighttime. The way the track is, it's very exposed to the sun, and the track changes so much that you hardly ever see the same cars that are fast in the daytime. You hardly ever see that sort of dominance at night. So I think watching the race early on, you'll kind of see it develop, and you'll see people kind of build momentum throughout the race. And if they keep their cars clean, which we hope to do better than last year, we hope to have that car that's strong at night and as the track cools down, because that's something quite unique to Sebring, and maybe only Petit Le Mans is the other one, but Sebring is way more extreme.
Yeah, for sure. I know that the Acura's. What was it? I got to ask you about that battle in the last few minutes of the 24 hours. What was it like battling with your Acura team, with your technically the separate teams but manufacture same thing?
Yeah, that exactly what you said was in my head. We are teammates. We're both racing for Acura, but it was the Rolex 24, and that's the tough part. Is you want to win that race more than anything in the world, and but you have to support your team and your manufacturer as well. I can't say that I would have gotten them. They were very strong at the end of the race, and Elio was driving an amazing race up to that point. And I tried my best on that last restart, and I kind of didn't judge it quite right and didn't get the run that I wanted. But once he got through turn one, he had the pace on me, and I don't think I had much of a chance to fight him. Which was probably more painful than now that you think about it. It's like watching him edge away was pretty hard. Yeah,
for sure. I watched most of the 24 hours. No, I didn't stay up for all of it. There are people that did. I know people who stayed up all 24 to watch that.
I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah,
I didn't stay up the whole time either. So.
Well, you can't because the thing is, I'm not sure how much sleep you got. I mean, 2-3 hours or something at least, maybe. I don't know. It's good race overall. And don't worry, I caught up during the night stream on the Peacock when I was watching Peacock. So, but anyway, going into this race, what's the biggest thing you guys have to do to get another win at the 12 Hours of Sebring?
Yeah, I think number one is to beat the Cadillacs. I think. There's a lot of Cadillacs, and historically the Cadillacs are really good on bumpy surfaces. So we have to make sure that that we capitalize on what our car does well, which is in the cold. As we mentioned earlier, the cold is where it's most important. So we've got to make sure we capitalize on that. and to make sure we don't make any mistakes throughout the race, any contacts or anything, because our car is very sensitive. It's very finely tuned, and where the Cadillac kind of beats and bangs around a lot and it seems to hang on, our car is very finicky. So we got to make sure we keep it in working order all the way through 12 hours with however many cars. There's going to be, I think, 50 something cars. So it's going to be a busy one, and we have to make sure that we get there to the end, and that our car is able to battle with the Cadillacs.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Ricky Taylor, thank you so much for joining us right now. And then, of course, good luck next, I think in a few weeks at the 12 Hours of Sebring.
Great. Thanks, Casey.